My first block is God.
Yes,
God
they
stops
feel
me-
related.
God stops me being funny.
Is that true? Well, no, that's funny. But I'm saying, are they related in terms of, you didn't have these tattoos and you're 50 something,
Yeah.
and then you're like, I really gotta show God, or I really have to remind myself that this is important to me.
Yeah, it's a reminder. So the four ones on the fingers are the four evangelists: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. I was going through a phase, which I'm not going through now. That moment in my life was past, but the tattoos are still here.
Which is a cautionary tale about all tattoos.
It was not evangelical, because I was interested in the evangelists. The four.
What about them?
I was interested in the Gospels.
The words of like what they were espousing?
And I heard this thing about the Gospel of Mark, that the Gospel of Mark was originally a story told by itinerant storytellers. And something just went off in my head going, wow, that's interesting and exciting. The idea of somebody going into a room and just telling, the Gospel of Mark, when it's performed, lasts about an hour. That's all. And it ends amazingly. It doesn't end with the resurrection, doesn't end with some ascension into heaven. It ends with Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of God, and going into the tomb, and Jesus is not there, and an angel says, tell people what you've seen, and they left and they told nobody because they were afraid.
Good night.
I'm thinking, wow, that's a phenomenal end, because that puts the onus on the listener to decide for themselves.
Yeah.
And they said nothing. They were afraid. And you're kind of, wow. So I got into it that way. And then I just said, why don't you get a tattoo of each of the evangelists on your fingers? And then they're still there.
How many times have you read the Bible?
Never.
But you did read that gospel.
Yeah, and then I'm interested then in the story of, say, Jonah, who basically hears a voice in his head says to himself, this is God's voice. Go over here and tell these people they're awful and I'm going to destroy them. And he goes this way. God picks him up, fucks him into the ocean. He gets swallowed by a whale. He begs for forgiveness. God says, go and tell those people. He goes and tells them. Then God forgives the people. And Jonah says, God, you're an arsehole and I hate you. So stories like that, I kind of wonder sometimes, Jesus, is there a way of telling those on stage as stand-up? That's a great story. It's an interesting story. That, so I guess, but what I meant about God being a block in terms of creativity, it goes to the idea of what a trickster is and what a stand-up is. If you're looking to be a folk hero, if you're looking to be a well-known entertainer and loved, you're not a real joker. A joker is an archetype that stands outside of the culture and performs some sort of other meaning. He has some other value. He's amoral. And I'm I think most comics wrestle between the two.
Yeah.
They wrestle between being a folk hero and a trickster, and the person who has gone total trickster you've never heard of, and the person who's gone total folk hero doesn't interest you.
Yeah.
So most of us wrestle with this thing of what is my function really? And I think the idea of God as a moral force then stops you from being the amoral archetype in the culture, because you're concerned, is this right? Is this right? Should I be saying that? Is this a bad thing to say? Is this, am I hurting people by saying this? Am I...
is this irresponsible?
Yeah. When we start off doing stand-up, we're all hanging out together and we're keeping an eye on one another and we're kind of inspired by one another, and, oh, John is a great bit, or, do you see Susie's stuff about, and it's all, and we're kind of moving as a herd. And then what happens is the public say, you, and you get separated from the herd a little bit. And before you know it, you're kind of running on your own. And the benefit of that and the opportunity of that is you have an opportunity to head in. I'm mixing metaphors now that aren't working. So let's abandon the horseman for a moment. Is you've an opportunity to discover your own weirdness. Where it goes wrong, and we've all seen this, is with comics who get worse, the better known they are.
Yeah.
And that
Which is a lot.
Happens a lot.
Yeah.
Because they're playing, when they were playing to 200 people, they were great. 1,000, Jesus, really on form. 10,000, 25, Jesus, no, it's done, you're done. That's the danger. The promise of it, the possible bounty is that you can discover something original in your weirdness. And I'm really attracted to that idea of, so I've kind of stopped at the moment, and everything is transient. I've stopped watching other stand-ups. I've stopped, watching comedy movies, and I'm trying to just develop a thing that's peculiarly my own and weird, but has momentum and integrity. I don't know if that is making...
No, it doesn't. What's funny is that's not what Bukowski's epitaph was.
No.
But the thing I like about you, and I'm assuming the people that are watching this right now are enjoying about you, is you're very affected. And I don't want to say that you're very false. I'm kidding. No, I mean, you're very like in some sort of tide that's invisible to most people, but you are really being affected. Like you're really being moved by some invisible forces, that there is something about you that is like a biblical character to me. And I say that having met you 3 or 4 times, but like I find it really interesting. And then I fetishize it into like, oh, all Irish people are going through that. I don't think that's true, but I think there is something especially, I have to go to Somalia to volunteer, and it's all this overreaction or a big reaction to a notion. And is that, I guess my question coming into this was like, how is that to be in?
It's like being an addict. So you're flying and then you're distraught.
And you've been in dozens of cycles like that?
Oh yeah, but it's my nature. You could medicate your way out of it in terms of
no shit.
ADD medication and stuff like that. But it's my nature, and good things come of it. I'm able to raise a family on the back of it, in the sense of I'm able to earn money.
You haven't had great luck with that though, have you?
But that's been again an adventure. And so it's the idea of being amoral, an amoral presence in the culture, and what
you don't take things lightly. That's the other thing I like about you is like this. I really need to think about this amorality versus this moral archetype of being,
because it seems the truest. It's a great, if a comic walks out in front of an audience and he's amoral and he doesn't care, he's not looking for their approval. He's looking for liberation from the culture, for everybody. Liberation from the straitjacket that we've all gotten ourselves into. Liberation from ideas. Liberation from mores. That's what he wants. The trickster wants freedom. Freedom from pity. Freedom from love. Freedom from sincerity. Freedom from hypocrisy. Freedom from everything. And you have an opportunity as a joker to inhabit that for a while. What's awful is that you step off stage and then, hey, who the fuck, you said that? And you have to pay the consequences.
Is that ever within you?
Oh, totally.
Right. So what I'm saying is the idea of like, you want to be a jokester, you're looking for liberation, and you've got the Gospels tattooed on your finger. So the thing that I like about it that's interesting to look at and deal with is you are tension.
Yeah.
But do you think that it's the show is better, or I mean, obviously, but we can talk about the show or the experience of being you. Is the tension where it's interesting?
When I walk out on stage, I really want it to work. I really want something else to happen. I want something to have moved. I want all the things that the folk hero wants in terms of affection, recognition, attention. But I also want what the trickster wants, which is freedom. And when I walk out in front of a crowd, I probably don't feel at home as much anywhere else as I do on stage.
Mm-hmm.
I almost kind of exhale when I walk on stage and go, okay, home again.
Permission to speak freely.
Yeah.
I'm talking about off stage though.
Yeah.
Just in life, like I'm saying, the extremities you live in and the tides, you're saying it's the best, it's the truest way to live. But it can't be easy.
I'm 55. It's not going to change.
Yeah.
You know, I meditate every day. I'm committed to Zen Buddhism, but it's not changing. It's my nature. So what you got to do then is, in as much as you can, protect other people, which I wasn't probably good at when I was growing up, from it, and protect yourself.
Hey, did you like that? Did you like that? Yeah, did you like it though? You want more? Don't want to work? Would rather watch videos of me grab-assing with people? First of all, go up here to subscribe, and then go up here to watch more clips. This is like when the weatherman says there's a high pressure system coming in. I'm not really used to the green screen.